The chamber was buried under a mountain of black stone, hidden deep within a dying planet that had no sun. No stars lit the sky above, only darkness. That darkness was perfect for the kind of meeting that was taking place. Quiet, deadly, and wind. Forbidden. 12 alien figures sat in a wide circle around a glowing orb in the center of the room. Each one represented a powerful race from across the galaxy, creatures with wings, scales, horns, and metal limbs. They were the High Council of the Galactic Core, and tonight they had gathered for one reason: to discuss the elimination of the human race. They spoke in whispers. But those whispers were not soft. Each word carried the weight of a war. "Humans are growing too fast," hissed the Alax commander, his skin like wet iron. "They colonize moons in days. They alter gravity fields. They do not ask permission. They simply take." The Varnock emissary, a floating creature made of gas and tendrils, pulsed red with anger. "They refused our invitation to join the council. They mock our laws. Their minds are chaotic. They are unpredictable, dangerous. Their music spreads faster than ours," another said coldly. "Their networks are harder to break. Their machines speak in strange ways. Even our oldest AI systems cannot fully read their code. They breed hope," one whispered, almost like a curse. "And hope is the enemy of control." For hours, they debated. None defended Earth, none spoke of peace. They all agreed quietly, bitterly, that humanity had become too powerful, too free, too dangerous. Earth was a threat. The only way to keep order in the galaxy was to wipe it out. Not with open war. No war would raise questions. It had to be silent, clean. A fleet of drones, a weapon that could erase cities without sound. A virus that could travel through neural links and sleep cycles. They would send the order in 4 days. Earth would never know what hit it, but what they didn't know was that someone was already listening. Echo stood behind a fractured support beam, the upper dome of the chamber invisible to all eyes. He wore a cloak woven from crystal thread that bent light and silence around him. His breath was slow, his pulse steady. Didn't move. He didn't blink. His helmet camera recorded every word, every face, every plan. The cloak was Earth's. Most advanced stealth tech, experimental, one of a kind. And Echo was the only man trusted enough to use it. He had infiltrated this meeting weeks ago. Hiding, waiting, listening. Earth had long suspected that something dark was rising in the core worlds. The Cold War was turning hot, and now he had proof, undeniable proof that the galaxy's leaders were planning a secret genocide. He had to get out. He had to send the message back. But just as he turned to leave, his cloak blinked. Only for half a second. Just a flicker, single heartbeat. But one of the council members noticed. The creature froze mid-sentence, eyes narrowing. The circle grew silent. "Did you see that?" The gas being asked, the Alax turned toward the upper beams. Something moved. Echo cursed silently. The cloak was failing. The energy core was overheating. He'd stayed too long. He reached slowly for his exit Bakuna, a small disc on his belt that would teleport him 1 level down. "Into the tunnel network beneath the chamber. Seal the dome," barked a voice. "Lock all exits. Scan for biosignatures." Too late. Echo hit the beacon. His body vanished in a flash of static, and he dropped into a tunnel full of old machinery and dead air. The smell of oil and metal hit him hard. He ran, his boots pounded on rusted floors. Behind him, alarms screamed. The council's guards, a race of 6-legged beasts with armored skin, chased him through the tunnels. Red lights flashed on the walls, drones activated from the ceilings. But Echo was faster. He'd trained for this. Darted through collapsing vents, slid beneath spinning turbines, and leaped over a broken bridge into a shaft of pure darkness. He activated his comlink. "Earth Command, this is Echo," he panted. "Code Black. Confirm, repeat. The Council has authorized Earth's extermination. Uploading visual data now. Prep defense protocols."
"Oh, no time. They're coming." It's static then.
Echo we. "Read you." Upload started. Confirming ... Oh God. It's real.
I lock it in. I get loud, Echo said.
"Let the world see who's behind it." But But then a warning flashed in his visor. Incoming transmission blocked. Uplink corrupted. What? He tried again. The message didn't send. Someone was jamming the signal. Now the tunnel behind him exploded. Fire roared through the passage. Echo was thrown forward, crashing into a steel wall. He coughed, blood in his mouth. His cloak sparked and failed completely, exposing him. A figure stepped through the fire, tall, pale, wearing armor made of bones. Its eyes were not eyes, just black pools. The council had sent its enforcer. You heard what was not meant to be heard. The creature said, and now you must vanish with the secret. Echo smiled, even with blood on his teeth. Too late, Earth knows. We're not dying in the dark. He threw a grenade behind him, flashbang tech designed to blind sensors, and dove into a maintenance shaft, sliding down toward the power grid. He had one more option, one last way out. But it meant risking everything as he fell into the smoke and fire. Chased by creatures of silence and shadow, only one thought beat like a war drum in his mind. They planned to kill all humans. But a human was already there. And now they'll learn what that truly means. Smoke poured into the tunnel behind him. The walls shook. Something big was chasing him. Something with claws and no need to breathe. Echo's ribs ached from the fall, but he didn't stop running. This wasn't a battlefield. It was a slaughterhouse, disguised as a government. Every level of the Core's inner sanctum was built like a trap, layered with scanners, turrets, and old-world machines no human had ever seen before. But Echo had a mission, and nothing, not pain, not fear, not even death was going to stop him. His boots hit the metal floor hard as he sprinted through the power grid, ducking under half-buried pipes and leaping over glowing conduits. The light here was purple, unnatural. The hum of alien fusion cores rattled his bones. Behind him, the sound of claws on metal echoed louder and louder. He had only one shot. Reached the stealth ship parked at the outer edge of the core worlds. Lower District. He had stolen it months ago and left it cloaked, just in case he ever needed a fast way out. Now, it was his last chance to escape. He tapped the interface on his arm. Cloaked ship, located 3.1 km status. IDL too far. Not enough time. Come on, he growled, boosting his sprint. Suddenly, a glowing drone dropped in front of him. He slid, grabbed it midair, twisted it into pieces, and threw the shell into a vent. But then came the voice again, cold, sharp. Echo didn't know what species the enforcer belonged to, but its voice felt like it was inside his skull. There is nowhere to run. No one escapes the core. You are alone, Echo. He didn't answer, couldn't waste breath. Instead, he slammed open a side hatch and dropped into a crawl space full of glowing liquid tubes. These were memory banks, hundreds of alien minds, wired into a living grid. Whispering voices bled through the walls. Memories, pain, secrets. Echo ignored them. He kept going, crawling, panting, dragging himself until he reached the edge of the chamber. A maintenance shaft opened into the night sky. The lower district was right below. Massive towers, neon lights. Alien transports hovering silently in the dark. This was where the underworld of the core met the elite, a place where slaves, spies, and monsters shared the same street. And down there his ship. He climbed down a collapsed wall, heart pounding. Below him, crowds moved like rivers, different alien species moving quickly. Unaware that their rulers had just triggered the beginning of a genocide, he moved through the crowd like a shadow. But someone had already marked him. A piercing sound echoed through the streets. Eyes turned, guards moved. The city suddenly shifted. Human detected. All units converge. His face flashed on dozens of screens. Echo Class 9 Danger KILL on Sigicatine. Now everyone was watching. The crowd screamed and scattered. Echo bolted through the panic, weaving between stampeding feet and flying machines. Drones dropped from the sky. Shots fired. Plasma beam grazed his arm, burning his suit. He slid into a side alley and tapped his interface. Ship activate. Ready. For extraction Coordinates locked. He ran 1 block, then 2, but as he rounded the last corner, his stomach sank. The ship was there, but so was a squad of council hunters, already surrounding it. They stood like statues, weapons drawn. Echo knew he couldn't win a full fight, but maybe. He didn't have to. He looked up. The alley had vertical walls, 5 stories high, pipes, cables, vents. His mind raced. He climbed. Fast. The hunters didn't look up. They were expecting a soldier, not a ghost. He reached the top of the wall and dropped a small Q-Berth's last surviving pulse disruptor. He whispered into his cums, "Try shooting now," and triggered the cube. The pulse exploded in silence, shutting down every weapon within 50 meters. Echo jumped. He dropped like a missile, landing hard behind the squad. Before they could react, he fired 2 shock darts into their leader, tackled. Another, and threw a smoke grenade at the rest. His suit took 2 hits. His shoulder burned. But he reached the ship, slammed his palm to the control pad, and the door opened. Inside, the ship roared to life, echoed to Earth, attempting final transmission. Full video confirmed. Uploading now error. Signal jammed. Hostile field active. Echo cursed if he couldn't send it through space. He'd have to carry it himself. He locked the coordinates. Earth orbit. Stealth mode. Max engine burn. The ship rose fast out of the lower district, into the high clouds, into the silence of space. Below, alarm screamed. But up here, the stars were waiting. He looked at the stars, bleeding from his side, and whispered, "You wanted to kill all humans, but one was already watching. And now, he's coming home." The stars vanished. 1 moment. Echo's ship was racing through the upper atmosphere of the core world, stealth systems active, heat signatures masked. The next, everything turned white. Then black. Then gone. A silent flash of gravimetric distortion tore through space. It wasn't a weapon. It was worse. It was a capture net. Designed to bend mass in space like a trap, Echo's ship twisted violently, its hull groaning under the pressure. Alarms screamed, engines shut down. Lights flickered. The cockpit cracked. The artificial gravity cut off, and Echo slammed against the ceiling. His ribs shattered. His breath left him, and then nothing. Just cold. He woke up coughing. Blood in his throat, dirt under his fingernails. Light so dim it felt like a dying ember. No stars, no cockpit, no ship, only a cave. Echo rolled to his side, groaning. His suit was gone, his weapons stripped. His skin burned from where the neural collar had been latched around his neck. Chains clinked as he sat up thin. Alien metal welded into the stone. While behind him, a whisper echoed across the dark. "You fell hard, human." The voice was deep. Cold, but not cruel. Across the cave, behind another set of chains, sat a creature twice Echo's size, muscular, gray-scaled skin covered in old scars. One of his forearms was missing. His eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Not yellow, not red. But Green Dot Echo recognized the species immediately. Single quotes, DRA, an old warrior race, exiled from the council decades ago. Some said they'd fought beside early human colonies during the border wars, but most of that history had been erased. The Cadrax chuckled softly, thought humans didn't get caught. Echo spat blood. "We don't. I'm just resting." Cadrax leaned forward, "And what's your name, resting one?" Echo, the alien's expression changed. "Just slightly. I've heard that name. The listener, the spy. You made the council very nervous. They should be nervous. You were at the core assembly, weren't you?" Echo nodded. "They're planning to erase Earth. Silent purge. No trial. No warning. I have the proof. Or I did." The Cadrax looked away. "You still do?" "They didn't delete it." "What?" "I saw them take your chip. They didn't destroy it. That data's too valuable. They moved it to the vaults of Gridfall. If you're still breathing, that proof might still be too." Echo narrowed his eyes. "Why tell me this? The alien grunted. Because I've been chained here for 12 years. Because I watched them silence 100 worlds. And because when your people fought the Corn Fire Legion, we're the only ones who helped you. And your kind didn't forget that.
Echo.
Leaned back. What's your name? The alien smirked. Torvik? Exiled general, traitor to the core, last of my unit. Dot. And apparently your roommate. Tuh. Echo laughed once, just once, then winced at the pain in his ribs. They sat in silence. For a while, around them, other prisoners groaned. Some were human. Most weren't. This was a mining colony, but it wasn't just for labor. It was for breaking people, minds, memories, resistance. Then Torvik leaned forward again. I've been building a path out. Not much, just a crack, a shift in the tunnel wall. We can slip through if we time it right. Problem is, I needed a distraction. Echo smiled slowly. You have one now. That night, under the blood-colored moons of the slave world, the ground shook. Echo and Torvik triggered a mini-collapse in the reactor tunnels, setting off an explosion that fried the surveillance systems for 4.2 minutes. In that window, they moved like shadows. Echo had fashioned a basic stun stick from broken vent wires. Torvik used a sharpened mining blade. They moved through smoke and ash, disabling guards and slipping through gates. By the time the colony alarms activated, they were already climbing toward the surface. Halfway up the rock face, a drone spotted them and fired. Echo took a burn too. The shoulder. Torvik caught it midair and crushed it with his bare hand. At the top of the ridge, an old dropship half buried, mostly broken-weighted. Torvik had been repairing it for years. They got in. Echo hot-wired the ignition. The sky opened above them. Stars again. Freedom. But they weren't safe yet as they broke orbit. 3 patrol ships locked onto their trail, weapons armed. No warning. Just fire. We need a jump point, Torvik growled. I'm working on it, Echo said, fingers racing across the panel. Nearest blind zone is 14 seconds away. Can this thing survive 14 seconds? Torvik smiled grimly. We'll find out. Lasers roared past. The hull shook. Echo uploaded what little of the tracking signal remained. They were going to the one place he thought he'd never return, Gridfall, the deep vault city, carved inside a dead planet where the Council hid all their forbidden tech, including the chip Echo needed to prove the truth. As the stars twisted, and the ship vanished into jump space, Echo turned to Torvik. You said the Council silenced 100 worlds? Let's unsilence one. The planet Gridfall wasn't on any official star map. It was intentional. It was hidden in the shadow of a dead sun, cloaked by gravitational fog, surrounded by rings of shattered warships and static storms. From orbit, it looked like nothing, more than a burned rock floating in space. But inside its crust, buried deep beneath layers of metal and silence, were the vault's massive underground structures, where the Galactic Council kept everything it didn't want the galaxy to ever see again. Failed AI, forbidden weapons, memory cores from erased civilizations, secrets, and somewhere in those vaults, Echo's data chip. The only surviving evidence of the Council's genocidal plan to destroy Earth. As the stolen dropship entered the planet's upper atmosphere, Torvik adjusted the decaying stabilizers. Sparks flew from the controls. Ko strapped himself into the co-pilot seat, bleeding from the shoulder. His jaw clenched tight. This place gives me the creeps, Torvik muttered. You ever been here before? Echo asked. Torvik nodded. Once, during the cleansing of the Trazari system, they brought the survivors here, locked them in memory cages. I was young. Didn't understand what was really happening. They erased a species, Echo said. Flatly they do that? Torvik replied. Quietly. Always quietly. The ship rattled as it passed through the static ring. Lightning cracked outside. Static ghosts flickered across the glass echoes of dead signals, trapped in time. Then the vault entrance appeared, a wide metallic trench cut into the planet's crust, guarded by automated sentries and railgun platforms that never slept. Door. No window. Just a coated hole in the rock, shaped like a keyhole meant to accept only council ships. Echo leaned forward. You said you've been here. Can you get us in? Memorized part of the access pattern, Torvik said. But we'll only have one chance. You mess up the approach angle, and the whole valley detonates. Great, Echo muttered. No pressure. They dove in. The ship twisted sideways, wings folding at the last second. Warning lights flashed. The vault's outer gate came alive, scanning them with blinding pulses of red light. Torvik tapped the sequence into the console. A long pause, then dash access granted. Level Tacharetha gate opened. Inside, darkness. They landed in a long tunnel of steel and ancient stone. Lights flickered weakly overhead. Drones hovered silently. In the corners, Echo and Torvik stepped off the ship, now dressed in scavenged armor, their faces hidden by masks. No sudden moves, Torvik whispered. The AI here doesn't respond well to curiosity. They walk slowly, past walls lined with stasis vaults, huge glass cylinders full of floating bodies. Preserved and erased from history, Echo's eyes lingered on one chamber where a human woman floated, her face peaceful, her eyes forever closed. She could have been from Earth, he whispered. Or from a world like it, Torvik replied. The council didn't care which. They reached the indexing chamber, an immense circular room filled with floating data crystals and archives. In the center, a massive AI core pulsed with light. Welcome, a voice echoed. You have accessed forbidden records. Identification required. Torvik spoke in an ancient dialect. Archive request, sublevel 9. Code, Phantom Directive. Access Echo Class Probe. Time-stamped 43 cycles ago. Silence, then verifying. And access confirmed. A glowing crystal emerged from the core, drifting toward Echo. It pulsed once, then dropped neatly into his palm. The data chip. Still intact? His message. His footage. Everything. He stared at it, stunned. Then alarm screamed. Security breach. Detected. Biological pattern identified. Human. Council alert issued. Run, Torvik growled, but Echo didn't run. He rushed to the terminal and slammed the chip into the interface. Uploading to Earth's satellite relay, he barked. I'm not leaving until this reaches home. Outside explosions rocked the tunnel. Vault. Drones activated, spinning through the air like knives. Torvik threw up a shield wall. Make it fast. The upload bar crawled forward. 4%. 9%. 14%. Gunfire echoed through the vault. Elite guards in cloaked armor entered from every door. Echo dropped to the ground and fired back with a plasma pistol stolen from the slave colony. 28%. 45%. 61%. We're not going to make it, Torvik roared, pulling Echo behind cover. But then the AI voice spoke again. External beacon located. Earth command uplink acquired. Data stream open. Echo screamed over the roar of battle. This is Echo. Council meeting recorded. Mass extinction plan confirmed. Earth is the target. Prepare for war. The upload hit 100%. Then a blast knocked both of them across the room. Smoke. Blood. But chip was gone. Scent. Earth now knew. On Earth, high above the Pacific Sky Defense Array. General Ray stood frozen as the broadcast came in. Her team watched. In silence, as the hologram played, alien council members calmly discussing the destruction of humanity. A technician gasped. This is real. They planned it. Ray narrowed her eyes. Sound the alarm. Send it to every military channel. Every government, every civilian net. No more secrets. Let the world hear this. Across Earth, screens flickered on, and humanity at last saw the truth. Back on Gridfall. Echo limped through a collapsing hallway, blood pouring from his leg. Torvik helped him to the exit shaft. You did it, the alien grunted. You lit the fire, Echo smiled, coughing.
Now we see who burns.
The stars stretched into long streaks as the stolen dropship broke out of jump space. Echo leaned against the co-pilot's seat, blood crusted on his temple, his arm wrapped in black cloth torn from a drone they'd killed on Gridfall. Beside him, Torvik grunted while steering through the icy blue haze of Saturn's rings. But something felt wrong. No alarms, no warning lights, just silence. Echo narrowed his eyes. Why'd we drop out of jump so early? Torvik checked the console, nav system forced it. Gravity anomaly pulled us into Saturn's orbit, not natural. Echo's stomach dropped. They're here. And then he saw it. A thin black shape drifting between the ring fragments. Barely visible against the light of the distant sun. It didn't look like a ship. It's more like a dagger floating in space, sharp and silent. Council assassin craft. Torvik growled. A phase leech. They sent a Minhunter. Echo stiffened. How do you know? 'Cause I fought one before, Torvik said, eyes dark. And only one of us survived. Inside the phase leech, a creature opened its eyes. No pupils, no face. Just a mask of bone and ink. The being was not born, it was grown. It's designed to do one thing. Track prey through thought. It didn't use sensors. It used fear, and Echo was radiating it. The phase leech moved fast. No engine trail, no light. It simply vanished from one point in space and appeared closer, and closer again. Echo turned to Torvik. We can't outrun it. Then we don't, Torvik said. We make it bleed. They turned the dropship sideways and flew directly into the thickest part of Saturn's rings. Chunks of ice the size of buildings swirled around them. Echo activated manual flight controls. Every second was a collision risk. But the phase leech followed like a ghost, weaving perfectly through the chaos. Then the cockpit lights flickered. A whisper echoed inside Echo's mind. You saw the secret. You lit the match. Now feel the blade. Echo clutched his head. Inside me, it's scanning your fear, Torvik shouted. Don't think of your next move. Too late, the leech fired. A pulse beam slammed into the side of the ship. Slicing open a fuel pod, they spiraled down, debris smashing into the hull. Echo screamed as a metal beam tore through the side of the ship, narrowly missing him. He'd climbed through smoke and pulled himself into the weapons chamber. Manual railgun online, he growled. Outside, the phase leech charged again, this time phasing into the ship's path, trying to lock a kill shot. Echo didn't wait. He fired. The shot screamed through the icy haze, smashing into the assassin's hull. Sparks burst out. Phased leech twisted, leaking black smoke, but it didn't fall. It phased again this time. Inside their ship, the interior lights shattered. Freezing chills swept through the drops, turned slowly. And there it was, standing at the far end of the corridor. Tall, motionless, no footsteps, no breath, just Dot watching. Then it moved. Fast Echo raised his pistol and fired. But the bullets passed through smoke. Torvik charged from the side with a plasma blade, roaring. But the creature stepped through the floor like a ghost and appeared behind him. A whip of energy lashed out, wrapping around the alien's throat. Echo dove, tackled the creature with everything he had, slamming them both into the side wall. Sparks flew. The cloak flickered. For one split second, the assassin was solid. Echo pressed the barrel of his pistol to its chest and fired twice. The assassin let out a low, natural hiss. It twisted away, but it was bleeding now, black. Smoke trailed from its wounds. It vanished again, this time outside the ship. But Echo knew it would return. This thing doesn't stop. He gasped, helping Torvik to his feet. Then we stopped the ship. Torvik rasped, holding his throat. Let it follow us. Into the heart of Saturn. Echo blinked. You want to dive into a gas giant? Torvik grinned. Only a little. They dove. The dropship turned nose first toward Saturn. Wind screamed past them. The upper atmosphere burned against the hull. The phase leech followed. Just seconds behind, Echo and Torvik activated the ship's emergency pods, then jumped out, blasting sideways into a tumbling debris field. Inside the ship, a beacon detonated. A signal echoed in the assassin's mind designed. To mimic Echo's final thoughts, the leech took the bait. It phased into the cockpit. Just as the ship's core exploded, the blast turned the sky orange. Echo watched from his pod, panting. That ... was close. Too close, Torvik muttered. But it's gone. Then we keep moving, Echo said. Earth knows the truth now, but the Council won't stop. It's not unless we take them down for good. High above the gas giant, a Council drone watched. It recorded everything, and it disappeared, back in the shadows of the galactic core. A new message was transmitted. The humans survived the assassin. Plan Phase 2. Initiate infiltration of Earth. The sky over Earth was too quiet. No drones, no ships, not even patrols. Just clouds hanging low like heavy breath. Echo's pod pierced the atmosphere with a soft hum, camouflaged by tech stolen from the vaults of Gridfall.
Out.
A few miles behind in a separate entry path, his pod disguised as a meteor fragment. They didn't talk. They didn't risk transmissions. If what the drone had seen was real, the Council was already moving inside Earth, and silence was survival. The pod hit ocean, cold, deep. Echo waited 30 seconds before releasing the escape hatch. He floated upward through darkness. Eyes scanning for movement, sensors quiet, no response. At the surface, he activated his beacon. A stealth sub broke through the waves a few minutes later, painted in matte black Earth defense colors, its hatch opening like the mouth of something old and tired. A face appeared, one he hadn't seen in years. General Ray, Echo said, climbing aboard, soaked and shivering. You were dead, she replied flatly. Her eyes scanned him like a weapon. We received the transmission. Is it true? They didn't just plan it, Echo said, peeling off the salt-soaked cloak. They voted on it. 12 council races, full agreement. Earth was to be erased. Silently. And the chip uploaded, but not enough. They've started Phase 2. Ray's jaw tightened. We've been seeing signs. Council tech on black market scans. Officers going dark. Intelligence units vanishing. Then last week a private satellite caught this. She handed him a data pad. Echo's eyes narrowed. It was a scan of an Earth Council meeting. +9, but the faces didn't match the identities. Several known officials had no biometric match. Others flickered, as if a cloaking field had glitched for just a frame. Shapeshifters, Echo whispered. They're already here, Ray nodded grimly. They've been preparing Earth to lose, quietly turning off early warning systems, canceling orbital drills, firing key scientists. They're softening us up without making a sound. Any idea who else knows? Oh, many, Ray said. If we sound the alarm, we might trigger panic or worse. Play into their hands. We need proof. We need to know who's real and who's not. Echo sat down, shoulders heavy. I might know where to start. There was one council envoy, Eric's, who voted against the purge. She vanished days later. If she's alive, she'll know who the traitors are. She was last seen on Mars, Ray said, in the diplomatic dome. Then that's where we go. They launched that night. A Blackbird-class stealth ship, no transponder, running cold. Torvik joined silently, still limping from the fight over Saturn. Think your red sandball can keep secrets? He growled, strapping in. Let's find out, Echo replied. As they broke orbit, the moon shimmered in the distance. Below, Earth looked peaceful, but peace was a lie. They reached Mars within hours. The diplomatic dome was still active, red-lit under thin clouds. But when they entered through the cargo hatch, something felt wrong. No movement, no guards, no lights, just silence. They moved room by room, weapons drawn. Then they found it. A single room, clean, bright, lit by alien blue glow dash panels, and in the center Velerix. Chained to a chair, still breathing, her eyes locked onto Echo's. I told them Earth was dangerous, she whispered, but not because of your weapons, because of your will. Echo knelt. We're not here to hurt you. You should be, she rasped. No, I told the truth. They left me here as bait. Echo's stomach dropped. Trapville nodded. They're watching right now. Attaway turned to get ready. Panels slid open across the walls. 3 shapeshifters stepped out, wearing faces that flickered and bled static. They smiled, cold and wide. "Too late, human," one said. "Your resistance ends here." Echo fired first. The room turned red. Torvik tackled 2 of them at once, his plasma blade cutting through false skin. Echo ducked behind the desk, firing precision shots into flickering forms. The last shapeshifter tried to phase, but Echo launched a stasis charge, freezing it mid-dash glitch. They secured Vel and escaped, fire bursting behind them as the dome collapsed. Back on the ship, Vel breathed slowly. They're not just replacing people, they're building a portal, a gate somewhere under Antarctica. A permanent breach to bring the full fleet through. Once opened, Earth's skies will burn. Echo turned to Ray over encrypted comms. "You heard that?" "Loud and clear," she replied. "Get her home. Earth needs to see this with their own eyes." Echo nodded. His voice was hard. "They wanted us quiet. They wanted us confused. But now, we know. And Earth doesn't go down quietly." Above Mars, a council outpost went dark. An emergency signal was sent through a black channel. Echo survived again. The spy must be erased. Begin final strike preparations. The stars above Earth shimmered unnaturally. Radar picked up nothing, but space wasn't empty. It was folding, warping high in the thermosphere, just beyond the reach of Earth's public satellites. Something massive bloomed like a shadow across the sky, a rift wide as the Atlantic tore open behind the moon, and through it came shapes. Not ships like Earth had seen before, but monstrous. Crawling structures with living hulls and fire-black engines. The Council's fleet had arrived. Inside, the Earth's Defense Command, General Ray, watched the invasion unfold with stone-cold silence. Screens across the walls displayed live telemetry, objects exiting the breach by the dozens. Interceptors, drone carriers, orbital strip miners armed for bombardment. "God help us," one officer whispered. "No," Ray said. "Echo will." The belly of a stealth cruiser, hidden in Earth's shadow, Echo tightened the strap on his armored vest. Beside him, Torvik slid a modified fusion blade into his belt. Across from them sat Vel Erix, no longer a prisoner, but a silent, grim ally. "This is it," Echo said, voice low. "They're not going to try to take Earth. They're going to hollow it, crack it open, rewrite it, burn everything. They'll drop gravity warpers first," Vel warned. "They'll twist your oceans, make the ground shake, and their command fleet will deploy a SoulNet relay to break your AI. Systems and block comes." "That's what we hit," Echo said. "We board that relay ship and shut it down before they finish building the portal anchor." Torvik grunted. "And if they spot us," Echo smiled tightly, "then we give them a reason to regret ever." Looking toward Earth, their ship launched silently from behind the shadow of a cold satellite, running no lights. Running dead, using stolen core tech, they slipped through detection fields, passing between warships the size of cities, and then there. It was the SoulNet relay, a floating cathedral of metal, cables stretching down toward Earth like roots ready to dig. Dozens of drones buzzed around it, adjusting beams, transmitting phase signals. "This is where they anchor their influence," Vel whispered. "This is how they blind you before striking." Echo locked his harness. "Then we blind them first." Latched onto the hull of the relay, Echo and Torvik moved fast, cutting through a maintenance hatch, bypassing internal alarms, and slipping inside the central spine.
Oh.
The walls pulsed like veins. The air smelled of something between acid. In ozone, the relay's core chamber pulsed with power. A single console, alien and alive, sat in the middle, protected by energy walls and 2 bio-armored guards. Echo whispered, "We hit hard. No noise. We go in, kill power, and plant the virus." "Understood," Torvik nodded. They struck. Torvik threw a shock grenade dripping down the energy walls for 2 seconds. Echo fired into the closest guard's joint, sliding across the floor as his pulse rifle fired in bursts. Vel hit the lights with a surge beacon, confusing the room's power grid. 1 guard fell. The second charged. Torvik tackled it mid-swing, driving his blade into the chest, kicking it into a wall of exposed conduits. Sparks, screams, silence echo reached the console. Plugged in the virus. The screen flickered. Upload complete. Relay signal interrupted below. On Earth, the storm of jamming signals stopped. Satellites came back online. Orbital defense systems lit up. Laser platforms turned, charged, and fired. Across the atmosphere. The first line of Council drones exploded in waves of light. Cheers broke out in bunkers around the globe. General Ray stood tall. "We're live. Return fire. All channels, light up the sky." On the relay ship, alarms screamed. They'd been found. "Too late," Echo muttered. "We did what we came for." The ship began to shake. From above, a destroyer-class hunter was closing in. "Extraction route blocked," Vel said. Torvik turned to Echo. "Time to jump?" Echo nodded grimly. "Blow the relay, then jump to Earth." They set charges across the central column. Each one linked to a detonation circuit on Echo's arm. Countdown began. 10 seconds. They raced for the edge of the hull, launched themselves into space. The relay ship lit up behind them, detonating in a ripple of energy so strong it shook. Nearby warships? Drones spun wildly. Command structure collapsed inward. Echo and the team flew through debris clouds, shields flickering, pulled toward Earth's gravity field. The heat of re-entry began. They landed in the Arctic. Snow howled around the crash. Point Echo rolled onto ice and looked up. Far in the distance, black shapes were falling from the sky. Council ships, breaching Earth's upper atmosphere. But now, Earth was awake. Defense turrets activated. Missile platforms locked on. Experimental laser walls came online, and the humans were fighting back. Echo stood, wiping blood from his face. "Broke their silence," he said. "Now it's time to break their grip." Vel nodded. "You'll have to go straight to the command hive. The portal core. That's where they'll try to reopen the gate." Echo turned to Torvik. "One more." "Mission?" Torvik smiled. "Let's finish it." Snow ripped sideways in the screaming wind. Antarctica, once a frozen wasteland untouched by war, was now ground zero for Earth's survival. Echo stood at the edge of a massive crater, one that hadn't been there a day ago. It glowed with a strange blue light pulsing from deep underground. Metal vines crawled up the icy cliffs, forming towers that hummed like breathing monsters. This was the core gate, buried beneath miles of ancient ice. The Council had constructed the final piece of their invasion, a portal capable of opening permanent access between Earth and the galactic fleet. Once active, the entire might of the core empire would come flooding through. There would be no second chance. Behind Echo, Torvik adjusted his pulse cannon, his breath steaming in the air. Vel Eriks crouched nearby, scanning with a hacked Council scanner. Her fingers trembled. "It's worse than we thought," she said. "The gate is alive. Biomechanical. It feeds off Earth's magnetic field. If it completes its sequence, the rift will open inside the planet's core. They won't just invade, they'll rip Earth apart." Echo nodded slowly. "Then we destroy it from the inside." They moved fast. Deep into the trenches, using snowstorms and debris for cover. The Council had deployed synthetic warriors around the gate. Poor-limbed creatures with armor grown from living metal and eyes like burning stars. Drones flew in patterns above, searching for life signs. But Echo wasn't a soldier anymore. He was something else. Something they didn't expect. He was the listener who struck back. They slipped through cracks in the security web, crawling across heat vents and frozen ducts, sliding into a tunnel of red stone that pulsed like veins. Beneath their feet, they felt at the gate awakening. Lights danced across the walls, glowing with alien scripts. In the center of the chamber stood the core gate's heart, a floating orb of black liquid, and orbiting a lattice of spinning crystal blades. Each rotation sent pulses of power into the Earth. Vel's eyes widened. That's their anchor, their central node. Destroy that, and the gate collapses. Torvik frowned. But there's no access panel. It's sealed in quantum sync. Echo stepped forward. Then we make one. Pulled out a device, small, almost unimpressive. A last gift from Gridfall. A council override virus encoded with Vel's genetic signature and Echo's pulse data. We give it something it doesn't expect. He whispered, "Us." They approached the core, but the gates screamed. Energy surged outward, forming a protective shell of molten plasma. Guards erupted from the walls, blades drawn, howling in a language not meant for ears. Echo fired first. His rifle hissed with every shot. Torvik charged into the fray, taking 3 enemies at once. Vel launched EMP pulses from her wrist as she ducked under a flying blade, chaos, smoke, screams, and then dash contact. Echo reached the central node and slammed the virus device into its base. Light burst outward, the spinning slowed. The orb pulsed wildly. The gate shook. Vel screamed over the roar. "We've disrupted its alignment, but we need to overload it, otherwise it resets." "How?" Torvik, wounded but standing, pointed. "Upward. Those towers, they feed it. Sever the cables." They split up. Echo climbed the inner frame of the gate tower, dodging electric arcs and heat surges. At the top, he found the conduit, a thick living cable pulsing with energy. He planted. "Charges," set the timer. "Charge 1 ready." Across the chasm, Vel placed another. "Charge to set." Torvik growled into the cum. "Final charge is hot." Echo stared into the heart of the machine. It was alive. 1,000 thoughts echoed inside it, voices of council members, battle commands, cold calculations. And through it all, a whisper, "You will fall. You cannot stop what has already begun." Echo answered softly, "Watch me." He pressed the detonator. All 3 charges blew. The tower split. Cables burned. The node cracked, and the core gate screamed as it died. It collapsed inward, taking the alien machines and control towers with it. The ground split open. Light poured into the sky, then vanished. Silenced hours later, Earth's sky cleared. From orbit, the council fleet began to retreat. Without the gate, without the relay, and with Earth's defenses awake and armed, they couldn't hold position. One by one, their ships vanished into the void. Echo sat beside the crater's edge, bruised and breathing slowly. Torvik sat across from him, bleeding from a dozen wounds. Vel wrapped a thermal cloak around her shoulders, eyes on the stars. "They'll try again," she said. "Not tomorrow, but one day." Echo nodded, "And we'll be ready." Back at Earth Defense Command, General Ray stood before a wall of cameras. Every nation, every people, every citizen. "The council tried to erase us," she said, "but one human was already watching. He warned us. He fought back. Now we know. We are not alone in the galaxy, but we are not weak either." She paused. "We are the storm they never expected." And high above, hidden in Earth's shadow, a satellite quietly broadcast a single signal. One word, one warning, survived. And across the stars, for the first time in centuries, the galaxy paused because Earth had spoken, and the galaxy listened.